A new report from the Washington Post this week has revealed that all of those new little conservative social media sites that have popped up over the last couple of years, they're all kind of dying. Gab, Gitter, Parler, Telegram, even Mike Lindell's Frank speech. None of them have been able to find sustained success in the American business market. And there's lots of reasons for that. So here, let's talk about that. First and foremost, in the days following not just the January 6th Capitol riot, but also Donald Trump's expulsion from Twitter, these websites saw a massive surge of new users. Okay? Give them credit for that. In the days after that, everybody flocked to these, at least on the conservative side. And of course, a lot of other conservative personalities had been kicked off traditional social media. So they found their homes on the Gabs, the Gitters, the Parlers, the Rumbles, all those sites. And things were looking up. Lynn Wood, one of those individuals, gaining hundreds of thousands of followers. And then suddenly, just maybe 1,000 a month. Because it died. All of these sites kind of suffered the same fate at the same time. It was a truly remarkable thing, according to the data compiled by Washington Post. They cruised along pretty decent through March and April of last year, but then by summertime, there was nobody new left to attract. And on top of that, other people that had flocked to these sites were leaving it. And of course, we talked about that back in the day, when it was happening last summer, because reports were already showing people were leaving these websites like crazy because they said it was boring. Because it turns out when you have nothing but an echo chamber to yell into, all you're hearing is your own voice back at you. And eventually that gets really tired. It's old, it's stale, it is boring. There's nobody there to argue with. And isn't that what conservatives love so much about Twitter? Going on there, being able to yell at people, being able to reply to their posts saying, "Oh, are you triggered, snowflake?" You can't do that when it's all your own people. And that is the biggest problem with these sites. Not to mention the fact, the oversaturation of that market, just from a purely economic standpoint, that market became oversaturated with these new conservative sites. And if you're an investor in Donald Trump's new media company, reports like this ought to send shivers down your spine. Because Donald Trump's trying to do the same thing. Hasn't launched yet. Supposed to be coming out soon. We were already supposed to get the beta version, but they've blown right past that deadline because they're not ready. So what's going to happen to that? Probably the exact same thing. Initial success in the first month or two, then after that, nobody wants to do it anymore. It'll be boring, it'll be old, it'll be stale. And everybody's going to leave. And what happens then? Well, the people who dumped $1 billion into this thing are going to lose a ton of money. That's what's going to happen. And again, we know this because we're already watching it happen. And of course, you have had these data experts look at this and say the reason this is happening with the ones that already exist is because they've pigeonholed themselves and they only appeal to such a small niche market that the oversaturation of it means they can't compete. Now, if there was one conservative social media alternative, it may be successful. But when you already have such a small subset of the population that even wants your product, and then you dilute it even further by offering the same product in multiple different packages, nobody's going to succeed. But the conservatives don't care. They're all out for themselves. They want their thing to succeed and everybody else to fail. And what's going to end up happening as a result is that they're all going to fail. And trust me, none of us are going to miss them.